let's cut to one question, because it came up with Professor Van Tam, and it's about the safety of kids in school, and not actually their safety or the risk to them from this disease, or even to the teachers, but the obvious, clear risk of sending millions of kids back to school to mix together and then come back into homes where there may be older, unvaccinated members of their family. What guarantee can you give us right now that when this happens on March the 8th, you're not going to see a sudden rush and spike in infections because of that scenario?
Well, Piers, that's exactly the concern that we've been putting in sort of various checks to try and mitigate against that, and that's happening. So this is why we made the decision to roll out testing to all secondary schools as well as primary school workforce as well. And we've been rolling that out since January, but obviously it's going to be stepped up considerably from March the 8th. We've also taken the decision following public health advice in terms of advising on the wearing of face masks for secondary school pupils in class. But the whole roadmap was very much designed to be by stages, so that when we take an action, when we do something such as welcoming children back into school, people such as Professor Van Tam, Chris Whitty, and many other scientific and health experts are able to look at the evidence and to see if they can then move on to the next stage of unlocking the country.
Professor Van Tam made the very important point, which is that we have vaccinated the top 4 most vulnerable groups, and therefore I'm kind of answering for you, to be honest. We are mitigating the risk.
I'm happy for you to
We
do
are
that.
mitigating the risks of students bringing the infection back into the homes. I am, like many parents, concerned about teachers. And the vaccination numbers have gone down. They've dipped a little bit in the last couple of days. A lot of people have been asking, why haven't you used the capacity in the system to vaccinate the people who are now sending back into those classrooms to face hundreds, thousands of pupils? Why haven't we armed our teachers when we're now going to expose them to so much risk?
So we've always been clear that the priority groups that we're targeting are those who are most likely to end up in hospital and those who are sadly most likely to die as a result
those,
of COVID.
luckily, we have now covered in the main part. But we are about to expose hundreds, thousands of teachers to possible infection in the classroom.
So the top 9 groups are those groups who are most at risk of being hospitalised or dying as a result of COVID. So that's why we've made the decision to prioritise those top 9 groups. Of course, many of teachers are included in those top groups as well. But as you probably saw with the roadmap, what is also set out is that we've asked the independent scientific committee that looks at the advice that it gives to government to look at 2 key factors, not only those who are most at risk of being hospitalised and potentially dying as a result of COVID, but we've also asked them to look at those careers and those jobs, and it's not just teachers, it's those who's working in supermarkets or on our trains and buses and our police, of course, those people who are most likely to be in front of the public, and as to what risk that they are exposed to, and as to what consideration they should be having in terms of whether they should be in the next round of vaccination after Group 9.
So you've basically decided that teachers are not at risk.
What we've decided is that we put a whole set of different measures in place because we decided to protect the people who are most likely to end up in hospital, most likely to die of COVID. But what we've put extra layers of protection, whether that is face coverings, whether that is for mass testing, whether that's regular testing of all teachers and all secondary school pupils, as well as support staff. So by putting all these measures in place, if you probably spoke with Professor Van Tam and Chris Whitty, they've been very clear about the environment and the safe environment that we're creating in terms of schools.
Professor Van Tam was clear about that. One thing you're going to need is compliance and people obeying the law during this pandemic, because otherwise the whole thing falls apart. Your government broke the law last week. It was found guilty of unlawful conduct. The Health Secretary who presided over the department that did this, has made no attempt to either defend or apologise for what happened, which seems incongruous for a government to brazenly break the law and not accept it was wrong. Do you think it was wrong for the government to behave unlawfully? And should any of you apologise for that? And if not, why should any of the public obey any of the laws in the pandemic?
Well, government always aims to abide exactly by the law, and I have no doubt that the Department for Health will be following the judgment, be making available any information that's requested of it.
But they were found guilty of unlawful conduct, and my point is no one at the moment has said, we're sorry, we shouldn't have done that. And if you don't, why should anybody else in the country obey any of the laws in the pandemic? I'm just curious.
But the government always abides by the law and obviously upholds the law. But quite
understandably,
understandably,
always do that. You've just been found
You've just been found guilty of unlawful conduct.
And when there is contention as to whether
There's
the
no
government is on
contention.
the
You were
right
found
side of the
guilty.
law, people then take it to court, and obviously the government abides by that court
Minister,
judgment.
the government was found guilty of unlawful conduct. I am really struggling as to why none of you are prepared to say sorry.
Well, what the government will do is will take action in order to address the court judgment. That's the right thing to do.
Are you sorry you acted unlawfully, yes or no?
Well, the government would never aim to act unlawfully, and obviously
You
we
did.
would
You
never,
acted unlawfully and were found guilty of it. So are you sorry?
And of course,
why do you guys find it so hard, Education Secretary?
Just say we broke the law and we're sorry.
Just to say we were found guilty of unlawful conduct, we're very sorry. What's so hard about
you
this?
had Matt all day yesterday, you see, Piers. I thought
No one is saying sorry. No one said sorry.
Well, with best will in the world, I'm very much focused on getting children back into school.
Okay.
But you are a senior member. I get that, but
I was going to leave Matt to his sort of legal disputes.
No, but actually, it's not. You might think it's a light matter. I can tell you, the public don't. The public, a third of them at the moment, want Matt Hancock to resign. There's no accountability. There's no sense of regret. There's no apology. And I simply ask you, as a member of the government, which has collectively been found guilty of unlawful conduct, do you regret the unlawful conduct? Yes or no?
Well, government always regrets if it's found, not to be in compliance with the law. Government never intends to be not in compliance with the law. And, you see so often as a minister submissions coming up in terms of giving you that legal advice. And at every stage, you aim to be in compliance with the law.
So now you've been found guilty of unlawful conduct. You are sorry on behalf of the government that happened.
So government would always regret finding itself on the wrong side of a judgment. And regret.
Mr. Williamson, look, I don't want to be pedantic. I really don't, because these conversations can last 1 second or 10 minutes, depending on how quickly you're prepared to admit the bleeding obvious.
Currently, it's heading for 10 minutes.
If governments always regret unlawful conduct, given that no member of your government has yet expressed any regret for this specific unlawful conduct, I simply give you one more opportunity on behalf of the government to say to the British people, who you are demanding obey all these laws in the pandemic, including 10-year imprisonment if they fill in a form wrong, are you prepared to just say, I'm sorry that we acted unlawfully?
Yeah. Well, let's be absolutely clear. Government always regrets if it takes a decision that is found to be not in line with the law and in terms of a judicial decision. And of course, government never wants to be in that place and never willingly or intentionally takes a decision that would step over that line.
Well, actually, Matt Hancock said he would do the same thing all over again. Do you think he should?
Willingly.
Well, Matt's been in a situation where he's delivered an amazing vaccine programme.
Should he break the law again,
pace.
Education Secretary?
And no one ever aims, no one has ever any intention of breaking the law.
He literally said yesterday he would do it all over again. Should he do it all over again?
Well, Matt is focused in terms of delivering the amazing vaccine programme we've seen transform our outlook.
But would you be happy if he acts unlawfully again?
No government minister aims to act unlawfully. It's part of a ministerial code.
He literally said he would do it all over again.
We're going round in circles,
that's what I call aiming, isn't it?
No minister would ever aim to act unlawfully.
He literally said yesterday, I would do the same again. That's what I call aiming.
I'm afraid I didn't have the privilege of listening to him yesterday, but I'll certainly take it up with him, because obviously any minister will always be in a position where they aim to always act in a lawful manner.
But just to cut to the quick, you're sorry.
We always regret the fact that if we're not in the situation where the decisions we've taken have been upheld by a judge, that's certainly something we'd never aim to do.
So you're sorry?
Deeply regret it, yes.
Thank you, Education Secretary. Finally, a member of the government regrets the fact the government broke the law. Thank you. It took us about 6 minutes.
Celebrates
but we got
with
there.
a cup of tea.
Next time, if you want to spend more time talking about your brief, just say that at the start. It saves so much pain. Anyway, we've got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Gavin Williamson.
Thank you for having us. Cheers.
A lot of pressure on your shoulders in the next couple of weeks.